Good morning. క్లాస్ చెప్తున్నా క్లాస్ చెప్పద్దు నువ్వు స్నానం చెప్పు నాదా స్నానం చెప్పు ఏమేమి పోదాం స్నానం చెప్పు పెద్ద అక్కడ నిలబడిపోరారు చెమటలు వస్తున్నాయి అడుంది పాలు గవర్నమెంట్ పాలిటెక్నిక్ కృష్ణాబాద్ ఎలక్ట్రికల్ అండ్ ఎలక్ట్రానిక్స్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ డిజిటల్ ఎలక్ట్రానిక్స్ ఇట్లా అవుతుంది ఉల్టా వేసుకోరా electrical and electronics engineering, digital electronics. Nednuri Parameshwar, lecturer. Okay, I am Nednuri. Hey, Gakka, కూర్చో కూర్చో దగ్గర మీరు చల్లగా అవుతుంది కూలర్ వేసిన అంతే బట్టలు లేవు కదా పిచ్చి పిచ్చి గవర్నమెంట్ పాలిటెక్నిక్ ఓకే సో ఐ వర్కింగ్ ఇన్ గవర్నమెంట్ పాలిటెక్నిక్ Husnaబాద్ electrical and my name is Nednuri Parameshwar, lecturer in electrical and electronics engineering department. Okay. So today's objectives are triggering in flip-flops, edge triggering, level triggering, and need for clock. So need for clock. So in last class we are discussing about combinational logic circuits, sequential logic circuits. So today we are discussing about need for triggering in flip-flops, edge triggering, level triggering, need for clock. So first topic is need for clock. So what is mean by clock and what is the purpose in clock in these flip-flops and how it is used, how we are taking that advantage of triggering for clock. Okay. So need for clock in digital computing circuits, all the operations are precisely timed by means of master clock, which sends out the timing signals to different sections of the computer. In digital computing circuits, all the operations are precisely timed by means of master clock, which sends out the timing signals to different sections of the computer. Okay, so this clock is need in digital computing systems circuits. So we have computer, so in that computer we have to send clock signals, clock timing signals. So at particular time one circuit will be on and at particular time one circuit will be off. So in that case we have to sense the timing signals at which sends out the timing signals to different sections of the computers. Okay, so the need of clock is to send the timing signals for different items, for different sections in the computers. Okay, at a time we need hard disk operation, and at a time we need motherboard, or at the time we need USB drive. So in which time which element and which equipment is on or off, for that we are using the timing signals. So for clock we are using the master clock, timed by means of master clock. So this coordinate and synchronize the overall action and prevent different sections to respond to an input signal at their own will. Okay, so this is the one of the advantage of the clock. We have different sections, and with the different sections we have different inputs. At a time we don't need all the inputs, and prevent input signals at their own will. So after completion of task, they will produce output. So this timing signals also prevent that input signals at their own will. Okay, so this coordinates and synchronize the overall action and prevent the different sections to respond to an input signal at their own will. Okay, coordination and synchronization of overall actions. So there will be a coordination and synchronization in between the different sections operations. Okay, for that we need the clock. And next, a clocked or synchronous system has output. A clocked or synchronous system has output that does not change according to the input conditions. Does not change according to the input conditions until a clock pulse is applied. The clock pulse initiates action upon the input signal conditions. A clock circuit produces pulses called square waves. Okay, a clocked or synchronous system has output that does not change according to the output that does not change according to the input conditions until a clock pulse is applied. The clock pulse initiates action upon the input conditions. A clock circuit produces pulses called square waves. The clock pulse, a clocked or synchronous system has output that does not changes according to the input conditions until a clock pulse is applied. Okay, so the output cannot change until the output clock pulse is applied. So it is the output will depends upon the ఏమటి a clock does not according to change the according to the input conditions until a clock pulse is applied. The clock pulse initiate actions upon the input signal conditions. A clock circuit produces called square waves. So clock pulse is initiates action upon the input signals. So the clock pulse is also depends upon the input signal conditions. What are the input signal conditions? So then it produces the pulses. So that pulses is called square waves. So as shown in this figure. So these are the pulses. We are representing 0 volts, high, 5 volts. So with that one high volt and one low volt is the combination, that is nothing but time period. Okay, so time period is nothing but low plus high time, high pulse time plus low pulse time is nothing but time period. Okay, this is the signals, clock signal diagram, and here we have low pulse and high pulse, and these are different. This is called the square waves. Okay, and next need for triggering in flip flops. Need for triggering in flip flops. So change in input signal, the state of a flip flop also changes. This change in input signal is called triggering. So triggering is nothing but change of input. Change in input signal, the state of a flip flop also changes, and this changes in input signal is called triggering. So we already know that flip flop has 2 states and is also known as bistable device. So for that one state to another state we have to change the input signal. So this change in input signal is now also known as triggering. So already we are known to trigger. What is meant by trigger? If a gun have trigger, so if we press the gun trigger, the bullets comes out. Okay. So similarly in flip flop also, we are triggering the flip flop. The state of the flip flop is changed. One state of another state. Okay. And in this type of there are two types by which flip flops can be triggered. So triggering are basically 2 types. So one is edge triggering, and another one is level pulse level in bracket of pulse triggering. So we have 2 types of triggering here. One is edge triggering and another one is level triggering. So here we have to see the 2 types of triggering. So let's see first one, edge triggering. Edge triggering flip flops responds only during a clock pulse transition at edges, and edge triggered flip flop responds only during a clock pulse transition at edges, and edge triggered flip flop changes states either at the positive edge or at the negative edge of the clock pulse. There are 2 types of positive edge triggering and negative edge triggering. positive edge and triggering edge. Positive edge is nothing but rising edge, and negative edge triggering is nothing but falling edge. There are two types of triggering: positive edge triggering and negative edge triggering. Okay. Edge triggering. Positive edge triggering. When the triggering occurs on the positive going edge of the clock, it is called positive edge triggering. When the triggering occurs on the positive going edge of the clock, it is called a positive edge triggering. When the triggering occurs on the negative going edge of the clock, it's called negative edge triggering. So here positive edge is nothing but rising edge, and negative edge is nothing but falling edge. So there is only two types: positive edge and negative edge. Okay, so these are the diagrams of positive edge triggering and negative edge triggering. So this is also known as pulse edge triggering. Oh sorry, this is known as edge triggering. So positive edge triggering and negative edge triggering. So when the triggering occurs on the positive going edge of the clock, it is called positive edge triggering. And when the triggers occurs on the negative going edge of the clock, it is called negative edge triggering. Okay. So one is rising edge and another one is falling edge and rising edge. Okay. And this is the diagram of edge triggering, and here we have positive edge and a negative edge. So the dark black color is called positive edge in left hand side diagram, and in right hand side diagram we have negative edge triggering. So triggering, so this is the square wave of clock. In this we have two edges, one is left side and another one is right side. So the right side we are from downfall to we are going upper rising. So down to up, that is nothing but positive edge triggering. So this is also called as rising edge triggering. And next in right side we have negative edge triggering diagram. In that clock pulse we have up to downwards. The signal goes from up to downwards. So that is negative edge triggering. Okay. We have clock symbol also. Here we have the flip flop. For that flip flop we give two inputs with the clock pulse. So clock is represented in CLK. So that is CLK is nothing but clock pulse we are applying to flip flop. Okay. So when we are applied a clock or triggering from down to up, it is going from down to up, that is raising edge. So that is nothing but positive edge triggering as shown in the left side diagram. In right side diagram we are have from up to down. So that is falling rise, falling edge triggering. Okay. స్నానం చేసిన తర్వాత గీక్కోకుండా for raising edge and falling edge we are seeing in diagram also. Level triggering, here we have level triggering. Level triggered flip flops changes states either at the positive edge at the negative edge. Rising edge and trailing edge, there are two types of level triggerings. Here we have level triggering flip flop changes either at a positive level and negative level of the clock pulse. So similarly for edges, positive and negative. So there are two types of positive level triggering and negative level of triggering. Positive level of triggering when the when the triggering occurs the positive going level of the clock, and it is called positive level triggering. When the triggering occurs on the negative going of the clock, it is called negative level triggering. So here we have the diagram. Level edge triggering in previous positive edge and negative edge, but here we have upper level and lower level. So up level is called as high level and down level is called lower level. High level on high clock level and triggering on low level clock. So in this diagram here we are seeing the up high level and black symbol, this represents the high level, and here low level, so that is low, and here we have clock CLK represents the clock impedance. So in positive edge and negative edge we have right and left hand side, but in level triggering we have upside and downside. Okay, level edge triggering, high level, low level. So after the positive edge triggering we have the level triggering, high level triggering, and after the high level triggering we have negative edge triggering, and next we have low level triggering. Okay, high level, low level, positive edge, negative edge. Minno సరే edge triggering versus level triggering. For edge triggering, type of triggering that allows a circuit to become active at the positive edge or negative edge of the clock signal. Type of level triggering, type of triggering that allows a circuit to become active when the clock pulse is on a particular level, so that is high and low. An event occurs at the rising edge or falling edge. An event occurs at the rising edge or falling edge. Okay. An event occurs during the high voltage level or low voltage level. Okay. So in a level triggering we are doing with voltages 0 volts or 5 volts. 0 volts is nothing but low level, 5 volts is nothing but high level voltage, high level. And events occurs as a rising edge or falling edge. So in edge triggering we are triggers high positive and negative edges. So flip flops are edge triggerings, latches are level triggered. So we have two types of flip flops and latches. Latches are level triggered and flip flops are flip flops. RS flip flop using NAND gates, and here we have 4 NAND gates and 3 NAND gates with 3 inputs. 2 inputs, 2 NAND gates are with 3 inputs and 2 NAND gates are with 2 inputs. So in this we have inputs J and K, J input and K input, and Q bar. Q bar is the outputs of the JK flip flops. So and we are giving clock pulse toggles on leading edge of the clock edge, and SR flip flop in JK flip flop. In that we have SR flip flop. So this is the so the dotted lines that is called latches, and this total called flip flop. Okay. And the RS flip flop truth table, here we have inputs JK and present state and next state, and next we have inference, latched, no change, reset, set, toggles. So in JK flip flop we have inputs JK and clock, 3 inputs. Hey, ray మిల్క్ నువ్వు బోర్, అరే మిల్క్ నువ్వు మీ ఇద్దరు బయటకు లోపలికి పోరు, ఈమె ఇదే పని చేసుకుంటే ఈయన కూర్చుంటావు పోరు, మిల్క్ పా లోపలికి, నేను చేసుకొని వస్తా పున్నట్టు కొట్టుకో. మీరు నువ్వు పోరు, ఆమె వస్తుంది మిల్క్ వస్తుంది, తీసుకోపో మిల్క్ నువ్వు ఫ్రెండ్ కదా మిల్కి. Edge trigger. Edge triggering versus level triggering. So for a clock, okay, we have for a clock we have one clock. For clock we have low level, positive. Okay, first of all we have to see the clock pulse. So this is one clock pulse. So first we are starting with 0 volts, that is low level, and positive edge, that is rising edge. So next to low, after the low level we are going with positive edge triggering, and next we have high level. So high level triggering, and after that we triggering the falling edge triggering, so that is negative edge leveling. So for that, one simple clock pulse, four triggerings we need to produce one clock. So for one clock pulse we need four triggerings. So that is low level triggering, positive edge triggering, high level triggering, and negative edge triggering. Mm. Low level triggering, positive edge triggering, high level triggering, negative edge triggering. So four triggerings, that is clock. And next for two clock pulses we uh, for two clock pulses we require two pulses.